Welcome back to Georgie Tech, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to get to know our iPhone in this episode using Grok. But as the name of the video, we're going to go ahead and teach you how to connect your iPhone to Wi-Fi. So first things first, let's go over to your settings. Let's go down to Wi-Fi, and then from here, we're just going to go ahead and connect to the Wi-Fi that we want to connect. So we're going to connect to this guy. Obviously, if the password is saved, it's going to go ahead and save. If not, for example, if I want to connect to someone else's Wi-Fi, then enter your password, hit join, and bada bing, bada boom. But what I actually want to dive in today is what is this I, right? Or the options. And what in the world is all of this that we see here? So let's take this one step at a time. Okay, so auto join. What is auto join? Some people ask me, hey, should I have auto join on? Well, if you always want to connect to the Wi-Fi in your house and it's the same Wi-Fi it's been 5 years ago, then yeah, just leave it on. Now, if you have a Wi-Fi that, like for example, you have a 2.4 and a 5G, and you're constantly moving back and forth, maybe you want to turn that off, and so that you're kind of able to connect to the one that you want to, right? But I would say 99 of users are going to be having the auto join. Low data mode. So what is this? Right? Okay, so according to Google's definition here, low data mode helps reduce your iPhone data usage over your cellular network or specific Wi-Fi networks you select. When low data mode is turned on, automatically updates and background tasks such as photo syncing are paused. If you just read this like me right now, I'm like, okay, so what does all that mean? So let's go ahead and see what our boy Grok could do. What is the low data mode on the iPhone Wi-Fi settings? Let's go ahead and see that. And this is the answer. The low data mode on iPhone Wi-Fi settings is a feature designed to reduce data usage over Wi-Fi networks. Here how it works and how it does. And I'm not going to read all of this. So if you're already like, Dad, this was going to read all of this. Automatic download. So background. When load data isn't enabled, it limits background Wi-Fi. It means apps won't automatically update in the background unless you manually open them, which can save data. Okay, so we can't forget about the coffee. So I would say the low data mode, it's something that you would want to turn on. Say you're camping, you're out and about, maybe you're using the like a SpaceX Starlink. Maybe you don't have a limited data or something, and you want to make sure that your phone is not taking up a lot of that data, doing all the refresh, right? All those applications there are, that. Keep in mind, every time you get a notification in an application on the background, it's doing a refresh, and that's how you're able to get those notifications. So if you want to kind of limit that, sure, you could go ahead and set like focus on the iPhone. But I think at the end of the day, there's still going to be some type of refresh. So if you are concerned about how much data you're using or you're trying to conserve, I'm assuming it also conserves some battery, because if all of those refreshes are not happening in the background, then most likely you're going to be saving some type of battery power. Private Wi-Fi address. Oh yeah, hold on. Before we move on, so one of the things that Elon Musk talked about Grok is that it has some type of sense of humor, right? So let's go ahead and see. Let's see what else. When you are using a mobile hotspot, or yeah, so see, so if you are, in scenarios where you want to conserve your data, then your data amount, then this is something to do. Okay, give us a joke about the low data mode. And remember, this is just something that we want to see how sense of humor. So why did the iPhone put its Wi-Fi on low data mode at the gym? Because it wanted to stream less but weight less. Wow. Can you tell me a funnier one? Absolutely. Why did the app go to therapy after being put on low data mode? Because it was struggling with low self refresh and needed to reconnect with its background processes. Wow. Okay, okay, okay. I see you. Now, remember, I think Elon also mentioned that you could get a little bit more vulgar. Uh, can you be more vulgar on the next joke? I think I spelled it wrong. Why did the iPhone say screw you to low data mode? Because it was tired of being data cocked and wanted to stream all of its dirty data without restrictions. Wow. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so private Wi-Fi addresses. So as you see, I'm in fix. All that just means it's that. So let's dive into first what Apple talks about private Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi networks and devices can track others nearby Wi-Fi devices by their Wi-Fi addresses. Even on secure networks, a fixed private address reduces cross-network tracking by using a unique Wi-Fi address on this network. And I think so. I have a router that I could see every single device that has ever been on the network, right? If they're online or not. And that is just from a security standpoint because you never know, you know. And one of the things that I notice is so by default, this will be turned on and set to rotating. Now, all that means is that this Wi-Fi or this I don't even know why they call it a Wi-Fi address. It's a MAC address, Apple. So all that just means it's going to be rotating those numbers around, right? It's going to almost give you a virtual MAC address within your local network. So one of the things going back to my router is that I started to notice that I have like 100 devices and they're all iPhones. And I'm like, who the hell has been on my network? And after, kind of investigating, I noticed that it's the same iPhone. It's just that the MAC addresses just rotate. And so my router thought it was separate devices. So I was like, okay, well, that's taking up space or cache in the background on my router. So how do we actually change this? So I first changed it to off. Now, quick little thing is that if you have a lot of smart devices like a Roomba or any devices around your home that kind of participates with talking with other devices because of XYZ. So like the Roomba, if you have like a Roomba, it actually goes around your house and it's able to also use connection to devices, especially their MAC addresses to get a better idea of where its whereabouts are at in the house. Other than using its camera and all that, it also uses devices. So if you have devices like your TV, you have Alexas, Google Homes, or anything around the house, and they're just kind of stationary, then it uses that information to be like, oh, I'm going to go around this way, and I know there's an Alexa there, so, I'm going the right way. But, so in that case, you want to just put this to fix. What that just means, it kind of puts a layer of protection, and so that it's not able to, do any type of background connections to your phone. And if you set this off, well, it's just completely off, and it's just like a normal device on the network that doesn't have any of this here. But yeah, I always leave it fixed. You'll see this MAC address on your router. It doesn't change if you turn this off. It's only going to change if you do the rotating. So let's go over to Grok and see what Grok says. So what is the private Wi-Fi address on your iPhone settings? So let's see what it says. The private Wi-Fi address on your phone is a feature introduced to enhance privacy when connecting to Wi-Fi networks. Here how it does, or what it does. Randomization. When you connect to a Wi-Fi network, your iPhone can use a randomly generated MAC or media access control address instead of an actual hardware MAC address of your device. Interesting. I wonder if this is true. I guess that's like the virtual part, right? The MAC address is like a unique identifier for your device on a network. Well, yeah, every single device should have a separate MAC address, and if you have a device that is or that shares a MAC address, keep in mind your firewall could probably flag that. So improved privacy by using the different MAC addresses for each Wi-Fi network. It makes it harder for Wi-Fi networks to track your device movements or compile data about your online habits across different locations. This is particularly useful in public Wi-Fi scenarios. Yeah, so this is where I actually do change this. So if you do go into a public Wi-Fi, right, if that's Starbucks, a McDonald's, or you're in the airport or somewhere, or even at the hotel, then you could turn this on now and set it over to rotating. Now, I think there are some networks, I think mostly in hotels, maybe in the airport, if you turn this on, you might get an error, and you might not be able to connect. And that the only reason for that is a security standpoint for them, right? Because they still want to make sure they understand who's on their network in order to monitor it. Especially like in an airport where they want to make sure that, you know, someone is not plotting an attack or whatever. So they just need to make sure that that's all good to go. And I just got a call right now. Good thing I got focused on. All right. But yeah, if you're in a public Wi-Fi setting, go ahead and just turn that on over to rotating and kind of do that. So let's dive into maybe some jokes. Give me some jokes about private Wi-Fi addresses. Let's see. I don't even know why I put a question mark. Why did the iPhone wear a mask? Because it wanted to help its private Wi-Fi address a secret and avoid being MAC tracked. Why did the Wi-Fi router say to the iPhone using a private address, "You got some hidden character, don't you?" Damn. Hey, that's what my iPhone was doing. Why don't iPhone data in public anymore? They prefer to keep their connected private, just like their Wi-Fi addresses. Okay, buddy. How does an iPhone ask another for privacy? Hey, can we keep this connection under wraps? Let's use my private Wi-Fi addresses. Okay, one more. Why did the Wi-Fi network feel lonely? Because every time it tried to get close, the iPhone just kept changing their MAC address to stay mysterious. Duh. But yeah, like, so for example, going back to this part here, considerations. Not all networks, sometimes networks might require you to disable this feature for connectivity reasons. As mentioned above, if you're having trouble connecting to a Wi-Fi, and even in your own network. So for example, if your router does track all of these addresses, maybe on the firewall, and ultimately once it senses that, you know, 254 devices or even 255, usually it's 254 devices, if you have like a regular router that doesn't open up any submask, then you might eventually have an issue. And so most of the times you just gotta reboot your router so that it could kind of clear all the logs and anything in the background. And usually it would be these Wi-Fi addresses, or they're just MAC address. I don't even know what they call it, but yeah. Let's see, settings per network. The private address settings can be configured individually for each Wi-Fi network, meaning you might have it enabled for some networks and disabled for others, depending on your privacy needs or network requirements. And yeah, I do that. If I'm in a public place, I'm going to go ahead and turn on rotating on just to be on the safe side, or use a VPN. But at the same time too, if there's a security standpoint or like a security in place on the Wi-Fi, and it might ask you to make sure that this is off. And limit iPad tracking. The last one, limit iPad address tracking by hiding your IP address from known trackers. Okay, so this one is simple. I don't even think we need to go into Grok. So the only thing that this does is that it's gonna go ahead and not share this IP address, but ultimately it's also gonna block the your public address, right? So every device, talking back to the router, at some point in the since you're surfing the web outside the world or out to the world, then a lot of those packets will have information such as your public address. And that's something that you don't want to give out because it's hackers, they love that information. Let's put it that way. And so by limiting this, it's just going to go ahead and encrypt those packets in the network, and make sure that when you're looking at your email and you're maybe looking at your spam to see what crazy people are sending you, keep in mind a lot of these spam mail will have some type of tracking application with embedded within it, and one of that, and they could do that. They could grab those packets as soon as you open the email and get some information off you. If it's going to be your IP address, especially if they get your public address, they'll get essentially a location of where you're at. And so maybe that's why you want to use a VPN or something. So if a VPN wants to sponsor me, let me know. We'll talk about it, and we'll get people on it. But I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, obviously, you have what IP address you are on your network, your sub mask, your router location. If you are running a router with IPv6, you will see your address here and the router here. My network understands IPv6. I do have an MLV snooping on to just control some of the HomeKit devices on the network. But I don't have the actual stack configuration where the router will also route IPv6 devices. Configuring DNS. If you're going to configure a DNS like a manual DNS, I always use Cloudflare 1111.1.0.0.1. If you do want to use Google, then you could do that. You could set it over to the manual, set those there. If you have some network issues, but I would say start off with automatic, means that it's going to get the DNSs from your router. Last but not least, HTTP proxy. What is HTTP proxy? What is HTTP proxy on iPhone? Settings. So it refers to a server that acts as an intermediary for requests from your phone seeking resources from other devices. Here's a breakdown of what it does and why you might use it. Device sends RTP requests. An option directly to the iPhone. The proxy then forwards your request to a desired web server and it returns the response back to your device. Private settings. Proxies can hide. So I guess it's like a proxy, just to kind of filter some of the when you're browsing on Google or something. Not bad. But other than that, thank you guys for tuning into this video. We're going to be diving into something more later, and we'll keep this going. So thank you guys for watching. This was Georgie Tech.